Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Hope y'all are doing good today. So, recently I got my passport, and I have a lot of cool trips coming up that are planned out. Mainly, I want to go to Niagara Falls, and I also want to go to Ottawa as well as Montreal. And that'll probably be a future video, but today's video, I just want to talk to you about how do you get this thing. For so long, I didn't get this passport because I didn't know how to get a passport. I thought it would be a super complicated process, and that really just kind of made me not want to get my passport for a long time. And I really missed out on going to Montreal about a year ago when I went to Vermont because I didn't have my passport at the time. But if you're somebody like me who doesn't really know where to start with getting their passport, I want to make this video for you. So this video is going to be an in-depth guide on how to get your passport for the first time. Now, this is for U.S. citizens. Again, my perspective is, you can see the shirt, red, white, and blue. I am an American, right? So this is for people who are United States citizens who are trying to get their passport for the first time. And the people who have to get their passport for the first time are people who have either never done it before like myself, or they got their passport when they were under the age of 16. And if you are one of those two people, then yes, you have to get your passport for the first time using the process that I'm about to tell you. Also, this applies if your passport has expired and it's 15 years out of date as well, although you probably know that because you've done it before. But yeah, if you let your passport lapse for 15 years, then you have to do this whole process again. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So one thing that could affect your passport or even getting a passport is if you have a criminal record. Now, I do think that convicted felons and people convicted of misdemeanors can get a passport, but not if they have an active warrant or if they're currently in prison. There's rules on this, but assuming that you're not a criminal, the first step to get your passport is to fill out Form DS-11 online. And this form is going to ask you a lot of basic information such as your name, address, phone number, email, but it's also going to ask you a few questions like where was your birth city, right? So for somebody like me who's moved away from both my birth city and the state I was born in, I had to put Spartanburg, South Carolina. No, I currently live in Alabama now, but I'm from South Carolina. So yeah, I had to put that down specifically. It's going to ask you information about your parents as well, mother, father. It's going to ask you your mother's actual maiden name, right? So you should know that. And yeah, it's going to ask you info about them, like their birthday, all that stuff. So once you fill out this form, what you're going to want to do is print it out. And then at this point, you're going to be prompted to set an appointment. Now, some things about the appointment that I want to let you guys know about. So most of the time this is going to be at a post office. This really just depends on your county, but there are options. For example, here in Huntsville, this is Madison County, right? So the main options were either an appointment at the post office. They don't accept walk-ins at the post office, so you have to make an appointment online. Or there's a service center here, like a tax assessor type of place that handles a lot of different things for legal stuff, right? And the one thing they do is walk-in passport appointments, so that was another option here in Huntsville. But yeah, most of the time this is going to be at the post office. Now, I will say, as of the year 2026, the post office in general is very understaffed, and I set up an appointment to go at 12 p.m. on a Monday. And I didn't get to go because there were two people in that post office and they literally had turned the lights off in the passport room where they did the passport acceptance stuff. There are people I talked to there that have been waiting for 2 hours. They got there at 11. They've been waiting since 9:20. And I don't even know if they got seen because they were still waiting there when I left. I stayed there for about an hour. So just know that if you make an appointment with the post office, you might not be seen. Unfortunately, it just kind of depends on your local post office and how busy or how staffed they are, But if you do have one of these places, and again, do your own research, I can't give you every single scenario for your specific county. But if you do have one of those places like a service center where they accept walk-in appointments, Typically, that's going to be the way to go. I just had to wait about 45 minutes, and once I got called up, it was pretty simple. So that's the appointment setting process, but here's some documents that you're going to need once you actually go to your appointment. So in addition to the completed and filled out form, the DS11 form, which by the way, there will be a signature box, but don't sign that until they let you know at the post office when to sign it. You'll have that form unsigned, but you'll also have both your driver's license and birth certificate, as well as copies of those documents, right? You need that, that's important. And you also need a 2 by 2 inch photo of yourself, professionally done. And there's a bunch of guidelines on this. I wouldn't recommend taking this photo yourself. I recommend either somewhere like Staples or really any office supply store, or somewhere like Walgreens, CVS, really any drugstore that also does passport photos will work. They understand how to take the photos so that your photo won't be rejected, right? So just pay the extra money for them to take your photo. Sometimes the post office says that they have cameras, but my post office is lying about that. They said the machines weren't working, but really they just didn't have a camera because the people at Staples told me that. So yeah, sometimes they lie about it. Just get your own photo taken, to be honest. And you're also going to need a check or money order. Now, the amount is going to vary. It just kind of depends upon what you select. So the standard processing fee, I believe, is around $130. Now, what you can also do is you can add expedited shipping of your documents, so in the mail, and you can also add expedited processing. I'm not quite sure what these numbers are. I'll add that in post-production. But yeah, there's an extra fee if you want both expedited shipping and expedited processing of your passport. And also keep in mind that the passport facility that you go to, whether it's a post office or a service center, will have its own fee. I believe that's $35. So when you go to the passport facility, do your own research. Again, this varies from county to county, but look into the specific facility that you're attending and see what their payment methods are. For some, they accept credit card. For some, like the service center that I went to, they didn't accept a credit card or debit card, but they had an ATM for me to withdraw cash from. So I had to go to their ATM and get some cash out. Others may or may not be check or money order only. So yeah, like I said, just double check your specific facility. And one last thing about the money order, because you're writing this money order out to the Department of State, but don't write that on the check. It's going to be helpful if the employee does it for you. In my specific case, they had a stamp, that had the correct address on it. So they actually stamped the money order with the stamp. Now, like I said, this may vary in your individual case. They might actually tell you to write down Department of State or whatever. Just, don't sign that until you actually get to the facility. I would say just kind of use your own judgment on that. But now let's talk about your waiting time. So if you chose to do expedited processing, what's going to happen is your passport is going to come in within 2 to 3 weeks. And if you didn't choose that, then the standard waiting time is about 4 to 6 weeks. Now, fortunately, somehow I didn't choose the expedited option, but they got my passport to me within 2 weeks, which I was really shocked about. I was very happy about it, but yeah, I was kind of surprised. So they can get to you quicker, I think, but just don't count on that if you don't choose the expedited shipping. And one last thing to note, like I said before, you have to bring your actual birth certificate, but they're not going to just take the copy, although they do take the copy of the birth certificate, but they also take your actual birth certificate. And this is mailed in separately, so when I got my passport, I didn't get my birth certificate with it. And as of the recording of this video, I'm still waiting on my birth certificate to come back in the mail. So usually they say that it takes about 2 weeks after you receive your passport, which means that in certain cases, in the worst case scenario, you could be without your birth certificate for about 2 months. So just make sure you don't really need it within that time frame, or that you have a backup copy that's legit in case you wouldn't need your birth certificate. I understand things come up, but just be prepared for that. and just understand that they are going to have your birth certificate for an extended amount of time while you're waiting to get your passport and all your documents back. And yeah, once you get your passport in the mail, last thing to do is on page 3, there will be a place where you have to put your signature. If you don't sign your passport, then it's not valid, and it specifically says in the passport, this passport is invalid unless signed by the addressee, so yourself. It might not be those exact words, but you get the point. You have to sign the passport in order for you to use it. Hey guys, post-production Zach here. I forgot one last thing. So what you can do is, if you have urgent travel coming up within the next 14 days or so, and you really need that passport, it's a super urgent emergency, you don't have your passport yet, you can actually go to a passport agency in person. Now, there are rules around getting the actual appointment, but they should be able to get you your passport pretty quickly. But yeah, this is only if you have urgent travel. But just know that in certain dire situations, this option is available to you. So yeah, that's basically the process of getting your passport. And I intend on using this passport. I plan on going to Niagara Falls next month. So stay tuned for that video. Like I said, I also want to go to Montreal, and that's going to be another video on this channel. But yeah, I'm really excited to put my passport to use and actually use it. I'll probably make videos on crossing the border as well. Something like this video to easily explain the process, because again, it can be overwhelming. And I am a little bit nervous for my first border crossing. If you like this video, like and subscribe. Stay tuned for more videos, and I'll see y'all in the next video.